everyone to the Roar Sportscast about the World Cup. My name is Balint and I'm here with Laurence as usual. This is the third week of the World Cup, and we are recording this in a Sunday morning. So that means that there have already been some knockout games, but let's talk through the end of the group stages, I would say. Let's start with...
That was very exciting end of group stage, wasn't it? And in the last week, Anthony's not with us this week, unfortunately. I think we're all having a bit of winter blues. We're getting colds and sniffles and things. But despite us being not very well, this World Cup, despite having its controversies of its own, has certainly produced on the drama. And this week was, well, it just kept coming, didn't it, this week?
Yeah.
Day after day, you thought, no, it couldn't get better than this, and then something else happened, and something else. So where did we ended up? Japan, Costa Rica, weren't we?
When we did our last recording, it was after the Japan-Costa Rica game, but before the Spain-Germany game.
Yes.
That Spain-Germany game was one of the best games of the tournament. It was like
two
proper
teams.
Champions League quality teams playing against each other.
It was. It was a good game all round. Both teams going end to end. But yeah, I mean, both groups in the end, of players probably feel that they, we're going to wonder, and we'll get to that, why they lost to Japan.
Yeah.
There have been many surprise packages, and I'm sure we'll cover this today, but the joyous thing of it for me, as I said at the very beginning of these podcast recordings, was, the World Cup is a world game. The tournaments usually go very kind of, samey, in the sense of there's usually the big nations end up beating the smaller ones, and it's because if they, the small nation wins a game against a big nation, it's because the big nation has done very badly. It's very rare that it has happened. Cameroon did beat Argentina. We've had other teams in the past over Ghana, for instance, not a stereotypical strong nation, but we've had certain teams who aren't necessarily going to be producing team after team after team after year upon year, but they've had a really good World Cup. But this time, I think what's really lovely to see, I think, is now the game. We always ask the question, I think, is there going to be a World Cup winner from outside of Europe or South America? And I think this World Cup, maybe it's because of it being in the middle of the season, maybe it's because these top players want a bit of a rest, all different factors. But regardless, football is played at any time of the year. So I'm not necessarily sure that's the case. I mean, it's in the middle of a season, so you would have thought the more high-profile players would be fitter than they would be at the end of a season, having gone through major leagues and major European competitions, or South American, or wherever they are. But there's obviously just the main ones, aren't they? For the top players want to play in those competitions, and it just shows actually now how well developed this game is globally, and that makes me happy, as well as to see the scenes of these nations, and we'll cover it today. Of just being pure and utter adulation globally in nations which are not necessarily, football is not maybe their first sport, yet it's been able to capture what a stereotypical nation like England had in the Euros, where these nations have just come out en masse. You see videos of we'll get onto that later on, but that's what's pleased me the most, I think, in this past week. Is it's nice to see Spain play Germany, but actually now that we have these other nations who are actually starting to prove that yes, if you're not on, even if you're playing the best game of your life, you can still lose. And that's really positive for the global game at large. I think then it takes away this kind of silly stigma, maybe, that I'm English and Balint is Hungarian and my team should always beat Hungary, or it actually starts to say, hold on a minute, you can't take any game for granted. And if you're gonna win, you've got to be the best on the day. And if you're not, then you will lose.
Yeah,
that's been pleasing for me. But so we had Spain, Germany, didn't we? And then we went on to a group. That'd be Group G, when it Brazil. It's group. Should we just start with the drama of the groups? I mean, I know G and H. They didn't they? They had extra games. But I think if we go through one at a time and just really explore these groups, because I mean, at the beginning of the World Cup, you thought, man, these groups some of them could be really dull. But what it's produced in last week is purely football is the beautiful game, and that's what it's been shown to be again.
Yeah.
Group A.
Yeah, Group A. So until the very last game, Ecuador was in second place.
That was, yeah.
And going through with Netherlands.
Yeah.
And then the deciding game against Senegal happened, starting the drama of the last round.
If anything, that's probably one of the groups which didn't have so much drama. You know what I mean? I think Ecuador, it was unfortunate, I think they didn't have Valencia playing.
Yeah.
Valencia was injured in the previous fixture against, was it? The Netherlands.
Netherlands, yeah.
Yeah, that's my cold. And they did. It just looked flat.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like that they were playing for the 0-0, and that fired back.
It did. In the end, Senegal saw it through. We'll see actually though today, how good Senegal are. I mean, they don't have Sadio Mane.
Yeah.
Having gone through, we'll get to their opponents in a minute. It might be obvious to some. Their fixture is late this evening. They've got no Mane going through to the next round today. They didn't have it in the beginning of the tournament.
Yes.
And they have conceded goals against all their opponents. So that's a positive sign for their opponents in the next round. But also they haven't looked convincing. I wouldn't say it. These other supposed smaller nations, they don't sit there at me going, wow. I mean, at the beginning of the tournament, I think people did. But I think during this tournament, but as I say, it's a one-off game, isn't it, next round?
Yeah.
But they're there. The Netherlands are there as well.
Yeah, Netherlands, they started a bit slower, I would say, with like the scrappy win against Senegal and the draw against Ecuador.
Right.
But we will talk about the knockout games as well. But they look increasingly convincing to me.
They do, yeah. I think their game against Qatar, I mean, okay, it's Qatar. I mean, host nation, the first ever host nation to get knocked out in the group, having not picked up a single point. As an Asia champion, it makes you question a few things with Qatar. One, how strong is their group relative to them?
I mean,
because they did lose every game.
Yeah, and they were picked from the first spot.
Yes, they were.
Because they are hosts. So
that's the same for everyone.
Yeah. But because of this was obviously the weakest group by far.
Yes.
And still 0 points.
Still 0 points, not great. And then also we'll come on to other nations from Asia who have done a lot better. And you think, well, okay, why? It's just nature of tournament football. I mean, England in the last few tournaments. I mean, I'd be interested to see how they actually got through to actually end up winning the Asia Cup. Because you're going to get, maybe in previous tournaments, you get two big nations faced against each other in a quarter-final. Only one of them goes on. Whereas if you had both of them on either side, it makes it more difficult going forward. And the case has been the point when England in their last couple of runs at tournaments where they played nations, again, as I say, who were on paper a bit weaker than they have been in the past. And they've got semi-finals and finals. When they then ended up playing a bigger nation, they've ended up not winning the game. And we'll discuss this further later. But I think this is just something to be aware of. I think for Qatar, because sure they won the Asia Cup, but relative to Asia, sure the winners are remembered. But
I mean, it's a history because after group stages, there were more Asian teams in the knockout stages than from South America.
Yeah, and this is what I'm trying to allude to here with this, is that you would expect the winners of the regional tournament, the Asia tournament, the Euros, to be at the World Cup. But then again, Italy I'm not there. I didn't even qualify for the World Cup. So, again, going back to the beginning, football is truly global, and you have to be on it every game in order to actually win, which makes this tournament so special.
Yeah, shall we move on
Group
to the
B.
Group B with England?
With England. Yes. Yes, I was so happy Tuesday. Yeah, I was having, as I said, not particularly well this week. But it was certainly a highlight of this week.
Yeah.
Wales looked absolutely atrocious. I thought, Wales are going to, this is not a rugby podcast, but being a Bristolian, having watched many England and Wales games in rugby in the past, Wales, you have that undercurrent, even if they're bad, even if they are absolutely atrocious and they've done nothing up to that point, come play England, they're going to do something. And what did you think of the game back? I just thought they sat back. They didn't do anything. They didn't trouble England. They didn't try anything. It was like they'd keep them more up front. I mean, okay, 6 foot odd. Yeah, sure. Most of their players play in Championship. There's a few star players, Bale, Ramsey.
For example, Ramsey has played really bad this tournament. So
Ramsey's played pretty bad. Bale has probably been their only shining light, but he can't do everything on his own.
Yeah.
And Wales now have been found out to be a pretty standard, I suppose, team. But you've got to try. And I think they just didn't try in that game against England. Rather than being that Welsh kind of, Conroe Rad, O'Heed. I'm probably saying that terribly. But, that passion, that drive, that, to really have a go at England. To really, I was scared. I was saying for months, I'm like, this is a game they're going to do something, regardless how they do.
Yeah,
and I was scared, especially after Hungary result, if Wales play anything remotely with that the same level of passion. I know those games, club level, they can bring that national level. Poof.
Yeah, it wasn't.
But they offered nothing, and then in the end, it was like, well, England are going to score, but when? And then when they scored those 2 quick goals, that was beautiful. But the free kick. Poof.
Yeah, I mean, it's really great to see that Rashford is finally back in form, and it is a headache for Southgate to choose his attackers because everybody seems to be in form.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're playing. We'll come to it. We're playing Senegal. Senegal came second. England topped the group. The headache of all headaches, but look, Southgate's pragmatic at the best of times. He won't want to lose. Now, if it were me, I would say, look, let's get on there, let's score goals, and let's just finish this, because this game today, because you've got bigger teams, especially with the way this draw is now panned out, you could potentially play a bigger nation going forward.
Yeah.
And I'm not writing off Senegal by any means at all. I know that, like I said previously in this podcast today, that they don't scare me, but England is always England's problem. Whatever sport they're playing, they make it difficult for themselves. It's very rare that aside an England team, whatever sport, that they turn up and take the game by its throat and say, no, we're gonna, So this game could go to penalties. It could go extra time. But for me, just chuck on these attacking players, get them on the field, even if it means, get Grealish, get Saka, get Foden, get them all on the field, and just score goals. That's how you win games, right?
Yeah, especially that we mentioned that Senegal conceded every single game in the group stages. So,
and they've conceded in every game. So why not do that? Then you can rest them. You've got 5 subs. That will be the English way. Let's go defensive now. Let's be a bit pragmatic and whatever. And alarm bells in the last 20 minutes. But they should get through, shouldn't they? Hopefully.
Yeah, that would be a huge surprise if they doesn't go through.
The other teams in Group B,
for
Iran
and the USA. Yeah, I mean,
should that have been a penalty at the end of the Iran game?
I wouldn't say so. No. I mean,
the Iranians were appealing with the referee for it.
I mean, who wouldn't?
Who wouldn't, of course.
But obviously the defender touched him, but that wasn't enough for a penalty.
No, but I do think America physically fit side, running around.
Yeah.
Pressurising all the time. Pulisic put his body literally on the line. He may not be able to have children for a little time after his incident.
Yeah.
With the goalkeeper. But no, you know, as I said, America, America football is what, 5th, 6th sport in their country?
Yeah, probably.
And you even had people this week from those sports going, come on, you know, sure their chants are maybe a little bit silly, but you know, to have that cross sport kind of relationship again was really nice to see it, because you know, football is not something they go MLS, soccer. It's not something that they talk about endlessly, is it? If anything, they talk about their American football and everything else, but to have, I mean, Charles Barkley go, we won the Netherlands, we won Germany, we want this. I mean, okay, it's Americans being brash, but it's still good to see.
Yeah, it's good to see, and especially that they're hosting the next event in 4 years, and this is a young team, so they will have a chance to go until the quarterfinals in 4 years.
Absolutely.
If they get a better coach.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's always a toss-up, isn't it, between whether you've got good players or a good manager, because you could have the best manager but really bad players.
Yeah.
You know, and you're not going to go anywhere. Or you have really good players but a bad manager, and you get stalled at a certain point there. It's very rare you have that combination of both in modern football.
Yeah, I think we will mention this with Belgium as well shortly.
We will, most certainly. They're a prime example of having really good players but a poor manager at best. But America got through. They were going to go play the Netherlands, which also happened.
Yeah.
We will come to that a bit later. Group C.
Yeah, that's where the drama started in the week,
didn't it? And that was, you know, that was the second. That was Tuesday, wasn't it?
Yes. So Argentina played Poland, and Mexico played Saudi Arabia.
They did. Saudi Arabia, 14 yellow cards in the group stage. I was amazed. I watched their game against Argentina at the end. Because I think most people did who were neutral, going, wow, what's going on? But where did 14 yellow cards come from in their games?
Yeah.
They didn't seem a particularly dirty side, but obviously I wasn't watching their game.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't. This was news to me that they got this many yellow cards.
The second team had 8 yellow cards. They had 6 more than the second place team. Crazy. But they played, they played Mexico, wasn't it?
They played Mexico.
That free kick.
Yeah.
What a beautiful goal that was.
Yeah, it was like from 30 yards out, or?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing the goalkeeper could do with that. And their other goal was a little bit soft from the Arabian perspective, but they won in the end, Mexico, but not enough. Poland.
Yeah. They went out on goal difference by 1 goal.
Yes.
And if they had scored a goal, or Argentina scored a third goal against Poland, then the yellow cards would have been a decider.
And who would have gone through then? Mexico, I think.
Yes. No.
Poland still?
Poland had 2 less yellow cards, I think.
Right. So they needed 1 goal. But either way, Messi missed a penalty.
Yeah.
Messi missed a penalty to Szczesny after the most weirdest VAR decision you ever liked to see. Like I was saying, football's a bit soft.
Yeah, I mean
that was soft as soft penalties go.
I still don't understand how did that constitute a penalty.
No, I think he was looking for it. I mean, there's bigger games, mate. Come on, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, you were all over Poland, you were all over Mexico. In the end, you found a way to score. Goals it did score was from confuse me. Did it confuse you? From Alexis McAllister.
Yeah.
McAllister does not sound very Argentinian. If anything, Scotland have their representative in the Argentina team. Good goal straight after the second half.
Yeah, but Szczesny is in a really good form this World Cup.
They 2 penalties.
2 penalties in the group stages and made a couple great saves.
Be aware of France.
Yeah.
They were top of their group and more likely to play them. But no, Szczesny, if they got to a penalty shootout in the next round, he's on form. But, Poland are poor. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
The rest of the teams in this group are poor. And it really did show for me.
Yeah, and especially with Poland, they went to the knockout stages, but both against Mexico and Saudi Arabia, they were the weaker team on pitch.
Absolutely.
So, won't go far.
They won't go far, I don't think. I mean, Lewandowski's got his goal. Everybody's happy. He saved a few penalties. People are happy. I don't think you can be much more.
Yeah, with Argentina, they finally looked all right against Poland, but also...
It's all right. It's always the same, though, with Argentina when it comes to tournaments. Some of their players, the obvious, Messi, can turn a game in a moment. But they also got other players, Alvarez, who plays for Manchester City. I don't remember all their players. Martinez, the goalkeeper from Aston Villa.
Enzo Fernandez, the holding midfielder, is playing really good.
So but they don't pressurise you if you've got the ball. I've noticed.
Yeah. Even
though they're playing against a supposed weakened team, at the moment they haven't pressurised you if you have the ball. Which if I was, if they say England played them at some point in this tournament, Maguire and Stones could pass the ball quite happily between each other because the Argentinians wouldn't want to press them.
Yeah.
Fine. But they look too lackadaisical. But like I say, I think they know in their back pocket they've got the magician, isn't it, in Messi, who can just produce a moment of magic whenever he seemingly wants to do it. And they're like, well, as long as we don't concede and we work hard as a team, then we'll get it done. But it's a risky play, especially if you play against a bit more of a forward-thinking side.
Yes.
But
to their luck, they will face Netherlands.
Hopefully.
Which
and then we'll see what happens.
Also played a bit more defensively.
But Poland and Argentina out of that one. Stopped by an Arabian goal, wasn't it, in the missed penalty?
Yeah.
But D.
Group D was France, Australia, Tunisia, and Denmark.
France. Let's start with France here. I want to say before we go on to the Socceroos, who I had a soft spot for, as I said in previous podcasts. France did one of the most bizarre things I think I've ever seen at a World Cup. Probably the most bizarre thing since England B played Belgium B in the last World Cup group stage, where they went, we've got such a good team, we're just going to play our reserves. And they played all of them.
Yeah.
Even Guendouzi, who I think I was watching TikTok at one point when I was in bed this week, not feeling great for myself, and one of the female football players was saying they have to have their hair a certain length, which I didn't know this was a thing. But she said, well, if it covers his face, he has to keep touching it, and that could downfall. He then ends up getting subbed off. So, for Dembele in the end.
And also Koinga was playing left back, which he never played in his life.
No, and it's like, it's almost like it was disrespectful to Tunisia. But our Anthony, who would love to. What was the gentleman's name?
Fabi Kasri.
We've had the last couple of weeks. He's awful.
Sunderland legend.
Sunderland legend. Wabi Kasri scores the winner against France. They didn't go through. Unfortunately, they lost their previous. No, they didn't. They got through against Denmark, didn't they? But they didn't do enough in the end to get through. Having lost to Australia. In their last fixture. But no, I mean, well, I would like to see Anthony and what he thinks about Wabi Kasri. I mean, it's a shame we don't have him today, but I'd say he's not feeling great. But wow.
Yeah, but back to France. Back to France reserve team. Obviously it is disrespectful, but I mean, this is a World Cup.
You know what you're doing.
They are planning to go to the finals. They need to rest the players, so and also to keep the reserves motivated.
Absolutely. I mean, they can all say they played in the World Cup. I mean, they lost to Tunisia, but they played. So I do get it. But to me, it took the mickey a bit. Like, it wasn't like there were other teams that did similar things this week because they knew they were top their group, and unless something catastrophically happened, whatever. But to completely put your whole starting 11 on the bench like, surely if you're Tunisian, yeah, you're happy you won, but wouldn't you be a bit more happy? You can understand that if France wanted to tweak a little bit, but wouldn't you have wanted to play against Mbappe and the Griezmanns and things like that, and then still be able to beat them?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe some of them might not be there, but you know what I mean? Take a few of them out, keep a few in though, and then beat them. That might, you know, we have played against France, had Mbappe and we won. Not we played against a France team that they had none of the top players playing. Yeah, we won, and that will go down in history. But I think that'd be a bit of a blemish on Tunisia, and also France can just say, well, we're just not our best team, so sacre bleu. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't know. Australia though, Denmark are my dark horses.
Mine too. I predicted in the first episode that they will go through the semi-finals.
Top the group. And top the group, we said.
Yeah.
Have been underwhelming, to say the least. The team that played in the semi-finals of the Euros only last summer do not look the same team. Maybe, you know, again, the Ericsson incident in the Euros did that spur them on.
Yeah.
Did give them the motivation to run that bit harder to, you know. I don't know. But, as I said, football's a global game, and Australia, with they getting battered by Denmark. Absolutely battered. But they counter-attacked in the 70th minute, and what was his name?
Elliot-Key.
Elliot-Key. It's like my name's shortened. Elliot-Key. My little surname, my nickname at school. So it was nice. There was a lovely goal. Come around, took two players from halfway, little chop and change, bottom corner, and then the whole of Australia goes absolutely nuts at 4 a.m. in the morning to flares and everything else.
Yeah, that was really good to see the limbs in Australia.
Beautiful to see the limbs. We all love limbs. Yes, I'm a medic, but we're not talking about that. Just people just being proud of their nation, and especially Australia, who, you know, I remember when they qualified for 06, which was the last time they got to the last 16. And they had to play a playoff game in 05, and it's well documented how the newspapers in Australia didn't like football. Thought it was a basically, you know, it's not very 2022, but they mentioned it being a very girly game, very macho, not very strong, because they're more rugby, cricket orientated over there. You know, also Aussie rules, which is kind of a combination of football and rugby mixed. And they had all the controversy. They got there, and it brought the country together, and it brought them down to have the A-League then went bigger. But since that World Cup, they think they've played in a few other. I think they've played obviously 2014, 2010 Cahill, but they've got knocked out 2018. They've got there, but they got knocked out in the groups more times than often. But this time, I don't think you can really say there's a Australian player that I think even I know. You know what I mean? It's not like a Tim Cahill. Oh yeah, Tim Cahill.
Yeah.
No, this Australian team doesn't have players that you would necessarily know of, and yet.
Yeah, probably Adam Moy, and that's it.
And the goalkeeper Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
I think he played in the Championship or maybe lower Premier League.
Yeah, Premier League for Brighton and for Arsenal as well for half a season.
So you know there are a few, but you have to really they're not tip of the tongue even for a sort of semi-watchy football fan who doesn't really watch Premier League. But to see them get there, it was really, really nice. You know, no one expects them. Everybody, you look at every social media thing before the tournament. Australia bottom of the group. Australia
I predicted the same in the first episode.
We all agreed. We were unanimous here. I think lots of but again, it just shows that football is beautiful, and it can produce these things we don't expect. And to see them get through, to see the scenes in Australia, I think there's one chappie who's on Copper 90. I think he's Australian. Yeah. You know, his filming of it all was just, as I said, beautiful. That's what football is. You know, if people see football as this crazy hooliganism type, fighty, shouty men, no. What football is to me is exactly that. It unifies people from all backgrounds, from different sports, in a way that you couldn't say the same thing if the rugby team got there. But like I think some of them are saying, I think they're from the Australian point of view, their top teams when you talk about rugby, they are the best, like unequivocally the best. So it's abnormal to have an Australian team that's bad, unexpectedly then do good. And I think that's where this has come from. And then you have obviously children, adults, 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning down the harbour, packing it out. Mental. But I'm proud of that.
I mean, that's the beauty of the World Cup. In the second game against Tunisia, a player from the Japanese second division scored for Australia. So, it's really good to see.
There's a really proud story in this World Cup. Group E. There's another proud story there. We go across the globe now to Morocco. Is it Morocco's group?
No, it's the Germany and Spain group. So,
sorry.
And another bit of drama.
Japan. So again, another beautiful, nation that, I've been there quite a few times. Get to the last team quite a few times in their history. Not really much further. They also had the heartbreak with Belgium, the last one, World Cup. But they're a bit more footballing nation. But to see this middle of the road team get to the last 16, we can understand that. But to beat Spain
and Germany,
that's different. Now we're seeing a different team. Project Blue, I don't know for people like anime, that's been around. But I think, like you were alluding to,
I mean,
was it over the line?
I don't think so.
No, but the Germans want to complain about it, don't they? Yet again. I mean, should we bring up 2010 World Cup? 20 Germany?
Yeah,
that was over a line. Or the '66 World Cup. There was an issue with a line there. I think that didn't go in your favour either, did it?
Yeah.
So I think and also I think the person on VAR was English. I think that's what made it even more funny. So. Yeah,
but I don't think that it was arguable. It was inside and and it's
just the angle with the camera, isn't it?
Yeah,
but hold the ball over the whole of the line, and VAR said it wasn't, so we carry on.
Yeah, and it didn't even matter because if even with a draw in the Japan-Spain game, Germany would be out.
They would
have been out. So but as a German fan, it was an excruciating evening. And
they battered Costa Rica in the end. But even that, let's not forget, Costa Rica, 1-0 down, 2-1 up.
Yeah, there was like 3 minutes where Japan and Costa Rica were going through.
In a group.
Yeah. That would have been like the biggest upset in the history of the World Cups. And
sometimes you get one team get through that you don't think. Two in a group that heavyweighty.
Yeah, and with the Spain game, I mean that's probably a bit of I don't know. It's just speaking because I'm a German fan that I felt that Spain was playing for a defeat so they can avoid the Brazil side of the knockout stages. And
they've got what they wanted in the end. In a backward kind of way.
So it would have been especially fun to see them crash out because of
And then again, there's also the club rivalries, isn't there? Bayern Munich having their number over Barcelona, and a lot of the players for both nations having Germany being very Bayern Munich heavy, Spain still being very Barcelona heavy, and so like you say, they would quite enjoy seeing Germany get knocked out as well. So there's maybe the impetus of did Spain not try against Japan come the end?
Yeah, I mean, after they conceded 2 from Japan, they didn't really have many shots on target. They just passed the ball in the back.
He had 1 shot on target in like the 80th minute. It was the first time since Morata's goal in the first half, which really kind of shows Spain were, I don't know, just passing it around 800 million passes. It doesn't really matter if you got the ball. It matters if you got the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, I think probably Rodri even broke the record for the highest number of passes in a game as a centre back. So it wasn't too good to see. Yeah, but Germany probably didn't deserve going out, but they should have beaten Japan in the first game.
But they didn't.
And then it wouldn't have been a problem.
No.
And
but they didn't. I know you said it twice, but that is I suppose the downside of the next World Cup, I think, in a way, is that this World Cup is, we haven't even got to the other groups yet, but why change a format that works? I mean, okay, you include more countries in it, but then you're going to get, say England, Spain, Brazil in this top category of super really good teams. Then you get the ones that are good enough to qualify for this tournament that are not up there, but they're better than, say, the ones that would come in if, then after. Sure, you then fill in a few more, like, you might have got an Italy instead as well. But you'll then introduce some more kind of, much of a better word, cannon fodder. And it's like, you watch the Confederations Cup. I think Tahiti played Spain in one of the more recent editions, and they got absolutely destroyed.
Yeah.
Like 8, 9, 10-0 or something. It's just like, do we really want to see that at the World Cup, or do we want to see games like this where it does matter? And also, in a group, when we have groups of 3, if England, Germany, whoever, lose one game, that could affect whether they go through or not completely.
Yeah, there is probably only one argument for these 3-team groups.
Is
that
more people.
Not just that more people, but we could probably see less of these Poland, Saudi Arabia kind of games because like the weaker teams are spread out, and because with like the 4-team groups there are usually 2 weak teams in every group, and in a 3-team group there is only one weak team. But
I'd much rather a Nations League model though, which is kind of goes against what you're saying, because Nations League, you have teams who are ranked based upon how good they are. And then it means all the matches, whether it be Germany versus France or England-Hungary, are of the same ilk. Then the next group down are, Czech Republic against Israel. Next lot down is Moldova versus someone. At whatever level that is, those games are competitive. It's not like San Marino playing Germany and get battered 15-0. San Marino might lose still, but they're not. It's more competitive. And so I would say no. I think you'd rather have a Poland, Saudi Arabia, because Poland won 2-0 and Mexico beat them 2-1, but those games were semi-what close. If you bring in Tahiti,
and they will,
and they will for doing this method, then you might get matches where you get Brazil versus Tahiti, Brazil 12, Tahiti 0. Like, what's more? That's a boring fixture now. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If you get someone though.
Yeah, but unfortunately, that's what FIFA wants, because that produces the headlines and. It's definitely not great.
Not for me.
But probably for like new fans and neutral fans, this is their strategy to lure them in with like high.
Wouldn't want the best playing the best. We said the whole tournament.
Yeah.
We want Messi versus Ronaldo in the final. Well, lots of people saying that, because you get the 2 supposed goats nations playing against each other. That produces more than Argentina against I don't know some poor nation. But that's another argument for another day.
Yeah, and also just one last thought that they are also planning to bring in penalties after throws or before throws even.
Goodness me.
Which is
people are going weird. Let's just say, if we've had the corrupt era, this is coming to an end after this World Cup. Now we're going into the era of just weird decisions from World Cup every 2 years. I don't think that's clever.
I mean, probably the only reason why I support like the extension to 48 teams, because Hungary has a bit more chance to get to the World Cup.
But, that's what I say. It will allow some teams, like I say, like Hungary, Italy and qualify this time, to come through, but it would also allow nations from parts of the world who are not so good. What group are we on now? We've digressed, haven't we?
Yes, the Group F was Morocco going through as the top of group with Croatia, Belgium, and Canada.
Yeah, Canada. My love affair for Canada. They tried, bless them. Yeah. But this is the last team, I will say, because we've now covered America. We've covered Canada. We're going to cover Canada now. Germany and Mexico, because the next major Euros will be in Germany. The next major World Cup will be America, Mexico, and Canada shared. It's good, I think, for Germany to get knocked out.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a wake-up call.
Because they've had a taste. Canada would be their first World Cup since 1980 86, 97. I don't know. It was a long time.
Yeah, probably 86. Yeah.
It was a long time. Whatever. Regardless, they haven't won a game. They've only played 6 World Cup matches. These 3 as well. Some Canadians are just disappointed. They think that because they topped CONCACAF, is it CONCACAF that's the North America?
Yes.
Yeah, they think because they topped that, mind you, on goal difference, they got the same number of points as Mexico and America, that they are somehow entitled to be a bit better in a World Cup. I don't agree. I think personally, their problem is they just didn't have a goal scorer. I think when you looked at the Belgium game, they had so many chances to score against that Belgian side. And then against Morocco, you know, the goalkeeper had a moment of madness.
Yeah.
Which, you know, you flip those 2 results on their head, you end up with a Canadian side who get, okay, fine, Croatia game was Croatia game. But they would have still ended up with 4 points, which would have put them... Where would that have put them? That would have put them in amongst the pigeons, wouldn't it? Maybe 3rd in the group.
Yeah.
They still wouldn't have gone through, but it would, you know... Still had a bit more to play for, especially at 1-1 against Morocco at half time, thinking, right, if we get the winner against Morocco, we might go through. But no, let's not forget, Canada, they don't really, you know, they don't get to FIFA World Cups very often. They've got Alphonso Davies is their main player, and he's at left back, and he was the one that scored their only goal of the tournament, a lovely header against Croatia in their second group game. So it's not all dreadful, but
and they also have Jonathan David, who didn't really play well, but he's only 20, I think.
So you know, they're building. You know, the other team, Germany and Mexico, is good that they go out because it's, you know, poor, so that they can, you know, say, right, wake up call for their next tournament. So then, you know, they can do good, which you would fully expect, especially Germany, to do. But no, Morocco, what a story again. Another beautiful story. We've had Japan, we've had Australia, now we've got Morocco in this group. Their game against Belgium, I think that was really the one that kind of kicked it off. I think they played pretty well, like Tunisia did in their first game against Denmark, against Croatia. Probably people felt they were on the same sort of level. Nothing surprising. But then Belgium, I think that's aided Morocco, I think, and made them look a little bit better personally.
Yes.
The free kick, they were all over Belgium. But the free kick that went in, Courtois, who has games where he looks unbeatable, you know, Champions League final against Liverpool comes to mind, sorry. He also has games where he just... But that's the harsh life of a goalkeeper, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But what could he do? I mean, you even got in the last group game when Belgium playing Croatia, Lukaku, from a yard, misses. When he tests it down,
it was a disaster class.
You know, De Bruyne, normally who looks absolutely world class in Manchester City, was probably the only player that did, but he can't do it all on his own. The defence are aging, and they just looked. Their style of football just was flat, full stop.
Yeah, I mean, it was really sad to see, like, the golden generation bow out.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like England when we had a golden generation. You in 2010, you get to a point where you respected so much in 2002. It started off really there, I would say. And then they played Brazil and they lost to Ronaldinho. 2004, lost on penalties to Portugal. Same in 2006. Get knocked out, don't even qualify for Euro in 08 because of the coach issue, I would say, with Wally with the Brawley McLaren. Come 2010, most of them are having their last chance and they're playing a group which they should have done a lot better in, but problems off the field. So most of the time you could either say the players in England at the time were saying, well, we played more for our clubs and everything else. But I think with Belgium, when you look at their past, they played 2016 Euros, I think, was really when they started this side.
Yes.
Who did they get knocked out? Obviously, they would have done. They didn't win it, did they? Can you remember who that was? Off the top of your head.
Sorry?
Do you remember who Belgium? I think did they get knocked out in a group with Italy at that Euros? I want to say they did.
In 2016.
2016. Yeah.
No, they went to a sorry. Yeah, semi-final.
They got semi-finals of
No.
the 2018 World Cup, lost to France.
Yeah,
That
sorry.
went
They went to the
well.
quarterfinals and got beaten by Wales.
There we go. Yes.
Yeah, with Robson Canu's Cruyff turn.
Cruyff turn, well remembered. Yeah. So you have these instances where Belgium, they played Portugal again in the 2021 Euros. Similar side to the one that they would have faced in 2016 if not for the Wales game. And Portugal ended up winning the tournament. So they've been on the cusp. You can't really. I mean, we say Martinez is a bad manager, and he is, because he's negative in my regard. But you can't say they haven't had the opportunity to get there.
Yeah, I mean,
And
they got third place
The
last World
opportunities
Cup.
have been in their hands, but I suppose the only fixture that you can't really blame them for was the France game in that last World Cup.
Yeah.
Because that game was either going to be France or Belgium, and whoever won that would go on to probably win.
Yes.
The World Cup. And it happened to be France, and that was probably the moment that it just went peaked on for them. Then in the next year, then in the Euros that's just been and gone, they beat Portugal, and then they lose to
Italy.
Italy.
I think.
Was it
Yeah.
Italy?
No.
No.
Did they?
I'm trying to remember now. This is proving our knowledge here. But either way, they didn't get there, did they?
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
Yeah, they played Italy. Yeah,
They did.
I think,
Yeah. So, yes, they did, didn't they? In Munich.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, they lost 2-1, didn't they? So.
Yeah, after extra time,
Yeah.
I think.
So, they've had the chances, they haven't took it. England had the chances, didn't take it. You go back to the Euros against Portugal. Portugal made the final. Yeah, lost to Greece. But would you have backed England to beat the Czech Republic at that time? Probably. Would you have backed Portugal to? I think they played 2006. Goodness me, Portugal. They lost to somebody. They got the final. They lost to Italy, I think. I want to say no. If they beat Germany, so it would have been France. Yeah. So maybe not that World Cup, but they're not qualified for the Euros in 2008 either. And then 2010 was just a debacle from start to finish. So yeah, unfortunately, Belgium they'll have other teams in the future, but
but it feels like they had more potential in them, and because Martinez has been there or was their coach because he resigned, but he was their manager for 6 years.
He's resigned now.
Yeah. He was their manager for 6 years, which is like the whole length of the golden generation.
Yeah.
It's
like it's on him.
Yeah. There always be the question what could have been.
Yeah, absolutely. Same thing with England, But then again, like we saw, England went down. Who would have thought they would have come back around in the last couple of tournaments?
Yeah.
Nobody. So it can always come out of nowhere. But Canada, unfortunately, Croatia. They don't look great, do they? Either. But they got through.
I mean, they look okay.
They do what they have to do, Croatia.
And they will play Japan, which I think they can beat Japan probably.
They can, but we will see. But Morocco, congratulations to Morocco.
And they are really solid defensively. And I think in their
the
past 6 or 7 games they only conceded 1 goal.
They have the 2 best right backs in the tournament.
Yeah.
Arguably, Hakimi and I don't remember the other chap, but the other chap, whoever he is, who I don't know his name, but they play him at left back, right-footed left back.
Masri, I think that's his name. He's playing for Bayern Munich.
That's right. So they have a good, strong defence. They've got Hakim Ziyech in the midfield. Yeah. They're a solid side.
And Amrabat from Fiorentina.
Yeah. So well done. I'm really pleased again for them. So that's really good. Another side that will get to knockouts, and we'll discuss those shortly. Group G.
Brazil, Switzerland, Cameroon, and Serbia.
I think Switzerland, Serbia game. Wow, what a game!
Yeah.
5 goals. I think. Have we had? We've had more goals in other games, but both teams scoring here.
Yeah, and 4 goals in the first half.
Yes.
Which was the first time since 1998, I think.
Wow, that's a factoid there. But no, that was a very end-to-end game. It sort of flattened out, didn't it? Once Switzerland scored their third, it didn't have the same. I mean, okay, fine. you're not always going to get as many goals in the second half. But I'm saying it wasn't as end to end anymore.
Yeah, and it was good to see that. Obviously, we knew that it will be a heated game because of all the political tension, but it was a good game as well.
It was a good game, yeah. Serbia won't be going through. Anthony's probably quite sad about that.
Yeah.
Having said that Serbia, if they got out the group, could go far.
Yeah, it was.
They just look too weak defensively.
Yeah.
But it's probably their downfall. They conceded probably a lot of more goals than I thought they had. They conceded 3 in that game. You conceded, I think, was it 2 against Brazil?
Yeah.
And then they played Cameroon and they scored 3. Conceded 3 against Cameroon.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really unbalanced side with like Vlahovic, Mitrovic, and Jovic.
He's got forward, but
yeah.
Where's the defence there? But can't really help that, can you? Unfortunately, but they tried their best. Cameroon, Mr. Abubakar. I was in Metropolitano Friday night, and the Brazilian fans in there, they were going, come on, score, pass, but they were really like the Arsenal of old, trying to pass the ball at all. And then Cameroon, having been outdone, running this whole game, 1 ball in the box, 1 header, goal. I mean, okay, Abubakar rugby tackled a player in the previous move, so he was already on a yellow, but to score a last minute winner against Brazil, fine, take the top off, why not, I get it. The referee, though, he took it really well. He had to send him on the letter of the law, but to shake his hand as he did.
Yeah, but it was a really similar game to the Tunisia-France one. And
there's another one there, as you said, with Rabi Kazri and his favourite player.
Yeah, I mean,
so it's lovely to see these things, but like we say, that game, wasn't it? We talked about Cameroon. It was like Brazil fielded a weakened team. I mean, okay, Neymar's injured. We know this. That's not their fault, but I know they changed the goalkeeper, but it's not like putting in a weaker goalkeeper.
Yeah, and they put in the second best goalkeeper in the world.
That's what I said. This feels like a decent, competent Brazilian side. To have lost Cameroon. Everybody's saying last week Brazil's going to beat everybody. Well,
Yeah. And with like the Brazil-Switzerland game as well, they felt the loss of Neymar, and they will need him.
They will need him, but my problem is, like with Brazil and Argentina here, in a way, other nations in this tournament that are remaining, they rely too much on one player to be that beacon of. You look back at England when they scored the goals against Iran, who really started that off. Shaw coming forward, Kane no setting it up. Get a goal against Foden's goal against Wales was Kane. Everybody keeps talking about Kane. If it's Argentina, it's Messi. If it's Portugal, it's Ronaldo. It would be interesting to see. They're in a knockout, so aren't they? Brazil, Switzerland follow through with them, but we'll have to see what goes forward. But the drama kept continuing, didn't it? Group H.
Yeah, Group H. Portugal, South Korea, Ukraine, Ghana, with South Korea going through once again with on goal scored, not even goal difference.
Yes. I mean, so start off with Ghana had a penalty. 12 years ago they had a penalty to kick into a semi.
It was sad to see.
They had a penalty to take them out of a group. Okay, they ended up losing the game 2-0, but it was 0-0 at this point, and they missed. And it just I remember watching the 2010 game and being so aggrieved.
Yeah, me too.
Suarez, wonderful football player, not maybe a bit of a wicked man at times. He's only got himself to blame though. But he has a reputation in a way that perceives him. But like we say, some of the best players in the world do. Whether it be football or other sports, have sometimes got the most wackiest of personalities and decisions that they make. But he cried at the end, so I suppose there's some retribution for Ghana. But Ghana didn't look the same Ghana than the other 2 games, did they? Once they went down 2-0, Uruguay took the stuffing out of it. But I think Uruguay, they didn't go for a third. I think they thought Portugal would get it done. Rather than taking it in their own hands, they just were a bit more passive second half, and they got punished.
They brought off Cavani and Suarez, I think. Or
they brought Suarez.
But they subbed off two of their strikers in the 70th minute.
Yeah, because they thought the game was done, and so. But if Brazil playing Uruguay, if it would be that, you probably back Brazil. But now it's Brazil, South Korea. Woo.
South Korea won the game in the 90th minute.
South Korea, they lost to Ghana, wasn't it? They lose to Ghana. I'm pretty sure they did.
Yes.
They lost to Ghana. Drew with Uruguay in a very boring game. But then to beat Portugal, and Portugal did the same thing as France, not to the same degree though, but they still rested a few players out of their team, and they still had wasn't it? As I said, I prefer that sort of thing. If you're going to rest players, rotate them, not change the whole team. So they did have Ronaldo, they did have other players there, but maybe didn't have Ruben Diaz, they maybe didn't have Cancelo at certain points in the game, but the goal they conceded, Korea be delighted. But to go forward from a corner, 90th minute, mind, okay, trying to win the game, you then allow Son, who arguably is Asia's best player for the last however many years, run it from his own box all the way to the edge of your box without basically doing anything to him.
Yeah.
3 defenders on him, plays a ball between a few of their legs, and the bloke scores. Korea go absolutely wild. Portugal wondered how they lost, and Uruguay and Ghana go home. Pleased for them, and it was lovely again. The scenes at the end of that match, when Korea were waiting on the halfway line watching the end of the Uruguay game to see who'd have gone through, and then they find the news, and out go the bottles up to the fans, and then they bring all their fans, they run over to their fans, do a slide. So that's what we watch football for, isn't it, Balint, really, as I said. Japan, Morocco, Australia, South Korea, these are the things, the Costa Ricas of 2014, and, the Ghanas of 2010, that's what, even if I support, obviously I do support England, but in these other games, it produces stories that you feel pleased, or you get a shock in a cup match, or, okay, this is a cup, but, the FA Cup or something like that you don't expect. You think, oh yeah, that's really good. So, well done to those nations, especially. Please keep it up. But we go to the last 16.
Yeah.
And 2 of those, I suppose one of those nations, because I suppose America in this regard didn't have the same sort of. It's not that they didn't try, because obviously they got there, but it's not like they had the same story, level drama to their way of them qualifying.
So Netherlands beat the USA 3-1 in the first game. As I said, for me, the Netherlands look increasingly good.
They got outcoached.
So
America got outcoached. That 20-pass goal, that could be goal of the tournament. We argue with Charles it could be, but to do 20-odd passes, it reminded me a bit of the Argentinian goal against Serbia. In 2006, when he'd done how many passes?
26.
26. And this one was just like, it's just 20 passes. When they'd done 26, like, wow. Do you know what I mean? So, that is a skillful goal. Let's not take anything away from that. America did try. They had chances, but they always look second best, I think, in this game. Now we're going to start seeing, I think, bigger nations be like, right, now it's the the back end of this tournament now. Now we need to things get serious, and if the small nation comes on, they just need to be disposed of. But that's not to say they're not going to produce tricky fixtures, and that's not to say that they can't get through. But their Netherlands, as you say, got to increasingly good, didn't they?
Argentina beat Australia 2-1. It was really boring until the 60th minute.
It was. Messi scored a goal, but as I said before, Messi, because of his reputation, everybody thinks, wow, goal wasn't particularly special.
Yeah.
It was more with the vision of Messi. You could argue, yes, okay, he saw the opportunity, did a 1-2, boom. But they go, Messi, And it's like, no, not for me. His free kick against Liverpool, for example, in that Champions League semi-final, that's different. That, not so much. I think he gets more praise in certain situations than
that's true.
for simple actions. I think more it was his vision to be like, oh, there's an opportunity there.
But
well done. But they had Australia after the 60-odd minute, as you say, they had the goal deflected, went in. Then you had let's excuse Matt Ryan's mistake. That decided the game, didn't it? In the end, but they had that Barrett putting it wrong. The left back went on that mazy run.
Yeah. And also in the very last minute, they had a chance as well.
They did. So, but to say again, Australia, who's not a football nation, okay, they got an league, they're building it. I want them to come back next time and be better. Of course, I could do everybody, but other nations, But the small nations, I want them to. It builds the game globally, of course. But it just, it surprised me how Argentina, this power of a football nation, plays a nation that is not a power of a football nation, and they're split by a goalkeeping error.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, that's what decided it in the end.
Yeah. It didn't really look flattering for Argentina, and much as I said that they looked a bit more convincing against Poland, they were really poor against Australia, I think, and they will have a hard time against the Netherlands.
It all depends how they play, though, isn't it? Because we say this with Argentina, and we say this with Italy the same sort of way, in that Argentina have a weird knack of, like Italy, they'll pick one game and they'll, like in the Euros, they played the last 16 games, Austria looked really flat. Australia could have beat Austria. We're getting confused. Austria could have beat Italy. But in the next game, they play Belgium. And they're more open, they play more expansive, they attack. They scored 2 goals. They went back to, and then once they went 2-0 up, they went back, to kind of defensive ways. We say, now they look flat, but could Argentina be this dynamic and say, right, now we're playing the Netherlands, now we need to change our attack, now we need to be a bit more open and pressure them a bit more and everything else?
I don't know. I mean, for me, it looks like there is like a systemic problem with like the build-ups, where Messi has to
do everything
come back and pick up the ball from the defensive line, and they really still don't have a functioning central midfield.
No.
And
I would argue the Netherlands do. Netherlands absolutely do. De Jong being, the key in that midfield. They got a good spine in that side, right away through. The pie at the top with Dumfries and Gakpo. Dumfries is a substitute. You've got De Jong in the middle. If I don't know who the other midfielders are.
Yeah, I mean, Klaassen has been playing as an attacking midfielder, and Darun started against the United States.
And then you have obviously Van Dijk in the centre of defence. So their team is, built and but you say the Netherlands and was it 2014, rematch.
Yes.
Of that semi-final, where in the end Argentina won on a penalty shootout. It could be a game that goes to another penalty shootout.
Yeah, definitely.
So you'll have to see how it goes, but I hope Netherlands go through. I've got them in the sweepstake of mine, but beggars can't be choosers, and obviously for everybody else, probably apart from me and maybe you, they want Messi to get all the way to the final and hopefully lift the trophy, but not for me. As being an England fan, it's one of those nations that you don't want to see them do well.
Yeah, I mean, me neither, to be honest.
We have our last 16 games. We start off today with France-Poland.
Yes.
So, what do you think about France?
Well,
this one?
France should win this game fairly easily, and then they will meet England if everything goes well.
But like
in the quarterfinals.
I think France straight away, aren't we? Their side was rested.
Yeah.
Bang. England-Senegal should be England. It should be. This should, and I think the quarter-final would be what was expected of this England side, given the way the groups on paper were going to fall. They've fallen as somewhat expected, getting France in a potential quarter-final, getting possibly Portugal or Spain, given where that group's fallen, in a semi, and then a final with either Messi or Neymar and co. Shows the challenge that England have ahead of them, and like I said, Southgate has a track record of playing a nation that is good and doesn't get the job done. And I know everybody's saying, well, if they get through Senegal, as we say, Senegal will not make this game easy at all. England have a reputation of making games such as this hard work. Colombia is an example. Other sports, do I need to remind you, this is England in a world tournament. So, will this be done in 90 minutes? I hope so. But I could very easily see him go into extra time and penalties and everything else. But only time will tell. Is it going to be that Senegal have a few chances and get away with it? Or are they just going to have a last-minute penalty? What's going to happen? You don't know. It's England. Nothing's ever straightforward with England. But no, I still see us being able to beat Senegal. But yeah, probably against France in it. So we've got the Netherlands, Argentina, England, France quarter-final. Have to discuss them today. Who we think will win, because the next podcast, will be the semis and
So we will record the next podcast after all the quarterfinals are already done.
So we think who out of Netherlands and Argentina for that first to get in that first semi?
I would say Netherlands.
You'd say Netherlands. Let's go with that. I hope so. But as I say, Argentina can find a way and decide to be a bit more open. Messi might do a wonder. But hopefully Netherlands, but obviously we're only guessing here, and we've seen all the drama this week.
Yeah, I'm just rooting for them and for Van Gaal. Goodbye to the sport. I
England,
wish him
France,
to go far.
England, France, I think that's one step too far for England.
Yeah, me too.
But France can hit the self-destruct button. They did against Tunisia. They've done it against Switzerland. And, my question is, though, France's squad is deep. Will England under Southgate decide we can't just sit here, we will get dominated if we do our normal passiveness? Are we just going to go on a limb and try?
Yeah, and also with the Tunisia game for France, I think that was a sign of caution, because in the last 25 minutes, they had all their best attackers on pitch, and they could only score a last-minute offside goal. So
it's perfectly reasonable to say that England could beat France.
Yeah.
But on paper, you would say France is a lot stronger.
Yes, I would say so.
So, let's leave it at that. We can only know at this point now. We're getting with the big nations. I don't think any of us can really truly say hand on heart which side is going to win. We can hope that England get through further. Me, unquestionable, but we'll see.
Yeah.
What's the other last 16? What's the in the other last 16 games?
Yeah. So on Monday, which is tomorrow, Japan versus Croatia, and Brazil versus South Korea. I think the Japan-Croatia game
could be the best last 16 game.
Yeah. On one hand, I mean, both teams look a bit defensive and not that openly attacking, but in the same time, this can be a really exciting game.
They do look defensive, but Japan, they have these 5-10 minute spurts out of nowhere, bang, and that might be all they need here against a Croatia team. Especially if they seem well organised, they seem, pretty good. Croatia.
Yeah, and also, this is probably the closest pairing in terms of strength.
Absolutely. I think Croatia, yes, they have great midfielders in Modric and others, but Japan dealt with Spain and Germany, who you would think would be stronger than Croatia. So, Project Blue to continue, hopefully. That they can be our small team that makes it to the quarters for me. Brazil, South Korea.
Yeah, that should be
unless we see some absolute mental thing happen, you know, I couldn't see anything but a Brazil win. I think that would be more shocking than a 7-1 loss to Germany. Absolutely.
I would agree.
If South Korea beat Brazil, I'm saying it right here, right now, the country of Brazil will go into mourning. And it will be the worst ever loss, disregarding even the 1950 World Cup. Going back now, when they were told they were world champions even before the game kicked off. I think this would be even worse than that. But so you can see how I see it. 99.999% Brazil, less than 1 Korea. So Brazil would then play Japan, which I think, again, I hope Brazil get through. Out of all the bigger nations, Brazil, they just have that flair, don't they?
Yeah.
The Sambas, you know, the Seleção, is that their nickname?
Yes.
Yeah, Neymar will be back, especially in these
hopefully,
two matches. So, you know, hopefully, if Argentina would get through from that side, we'd get an Argentina-Brazil semi. We could have a chat about that. If not, Brazil, Netherlands, that's still a great fixture. And then the smaller nations would have had their moment in the sun.
Yes.
The other Tuesday's game.
Yeah, Tuesday game are Morocco versus Spain, which is also politically charged game, and Portugal versus Switzerland, who was in the same Nations League group. And also in the same qualification group a couple Euros ago or World Cups ago.
They've got a history, Portugal, Switzerland.
Yeah.
What do we? I mean, you would have to say Portugal are stronger, but whether they will get through or not.
Yeah, I mean, this Switzerland team looks solid, but
But
are they solid enough to beat a big team like Portugal?
Yeah, well, we said this against France, didn't we, in the Euros only last summer, and they got the job done.
Yes, that's true.
So I see it being somewhat similar in that, again, on paper, Portugal is stronger. Doesn't mean Switzerland can't be counted out. You know, you wouldn't get the Messi, Ronaldo final everybody wants, but you know, you just can't hold back. Switzerland are an odd team. You think, where are they getting these players from? How are they this good? You know, for a nation that is mainly used to ice hockey and downhill skiing, they somehow find a way to get themselves into these positions in these tournaments now, and it's good to see. But are they strong enough to beat Portugal? You can never tell. I would say Portugal, though. Wouldn't you? You'd say Portugal?
Yeah, I would say Portugal, but they definitely won't go to the final. So.
And Morocco, Spain, again. I'd like to see Morocco beat Spain. Because Spain, they lost in the World Cup, didn't they, to Russia last World Cup. Then lost. They got to a semi-final against Italy and lost on penalties. Both times though Spain got knocked out in the last tournaments have been on penalties.
Yes.
So the question is, can Morocco do enough to get them there, to get them to the point where Spain could lose on penalties again?
I don't know. I mean, Spain looks good, and I still believe that they lost against Japan on purpose.
That's a bit contentious.
Sorry, I'm a German fan. But yeah, I would say that they can beat Morocco, or they should beat Morocco.
So you get an Iberian derby.
Yeah.
As a quarter final as well. So I say you got Netherlands, Argentina quarter. We're saying England, France on paper. Yeah, we're saying the big nations here, but I think now they're getting serious. I mean, it's not serious fixtures here. They're not going to rest players. They're not going to. They're going to go full throttle to do it. England, France quarter, Brazil, Japan. That could be a nice quarter final.
Yeah.
But Brazil, that's probably the weaker one of the quarterfinals, to be honest. But Brazil have a somewhat easy path. South Korea, Japan, followed by the big game, the big crunch match of them all to prove whether they're good enough to win it. Repeat the Copa America final.
Yeah, and
that we can't tell. Then you've got Spain, Portugal on the other side, England, France.
Yeah, and it's good to see because, like, before the tournament, we predicted that, for example, Denmark will get the group win and then go to this side of the knockout stages, and also that Spain will get the top spot.
So Brazil. So
at the end the knockout stages got balanced, and we have good teams on both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. But you're going to get Portugal, Spain. Who's going to win that? You don't know. There's a repeat there of the potential 2018 fixture they had, 3-3 draw. Spain just unluckily drawing that one. They've also played in Euros where Spain have beaten them on penalties.
Yeah, they also played at the Nations League this year. So
and, Spain won that as well, I think. So Portugal, they might not get it done, but neither Spain. No, this is a funny thing.
Yeah.
Spain, having lost to Japan, could get to a semi, and Japan, having beat Spain and Germany, get knocked out in the last 16.
Yeah.
This is the beauty of football. But we could talk forever and ever, couldn't we? But I think hopefully we get some good games coming up. And next week we will discuss our final four.
Yes.
And talk about potential goals of the tournament, our surprise packages, who we think will win the tournament.
And we can evaluate how England has done.
Yes. Hopefully England are still there, but I think possibly by the next podcast it won't be. But I will say this: if they do win the tournament, it will be on my birthday.
Well.
So, they're talking about England are talking about giving a nice Christmas gift. It'll be also a Christmas and birthday that I would never forget. And after Euros in 2021, I did say this could happen, but they're going to have to do a lot of hard work to do it. And there's obviously lots of drama in between all of that as well. So we'll be back next week, hopefully with a healthier three of us.
Yes.
To discuss the final four.
Thank you for listening and see you next week.